Hey, I'm Sheldon,
Hey, I'm Shreya.
and today we're going to be discussing the history, construction, and application of the Bernoulli siphon effect.
The Bernoulli effect siphon dates all the way back to the Egyptians in 3100 BC. They used the siphon to move fluids upwards in elevation in order to build their structures such as the pyramids. They were also used for winemaking and irrigation so that they could transfer water upwards in elevation to feed the crops.
The Greeks in the 3rd century were also seen using siphons in valleys less than 50 meters deep, where detours were impossible to make. For example, Hadrian's Wall, used for defensibility, was built on a hilltop, but the use of siphons there allowed for the access of fresh water on defensive fortifications.
The siphon was also the hero of Alexandria's book Pneumatical. Alexander was a 1st century scientist and engineer who conjured up various mechanical gadgets and contraptions. Through his book Pneumatical, he wrote about a mechanism for a flush toilet through the use of siphons as well as a fire engine.
The 9th century Banu Musa brothers were also seen talking about siphons. In their Book of Ingenious Devices, they introduced the double concentric siphon, which had a funnel with a bent end for pouring different liquids. This invention never materialized, but it set the foundation for Bernoulli's siphon effect. The 16th century Italian polymath Galileo was also interested in natural philosophy and modern science. Through his concept, he developed a theory that explained in an open void the materials around the void will always immediately move to fill it. Daniel Bernoulli was an 18th century Swiss mathematician and physicist. He's arguably the most important contributor to Bernoulli's siphon effect, and he introduced the Bernoulli equation, which was considered as the conservation of energy principle for fluids, and became the explanation for the effect. Daniel Bernoulli had two critical theories. The first was that pressure and velocity were inversely proportional, and the second was that the amount of fluid entering a tube at any given period of time had to be equivalent to the amount of fluid exiting that same tube at that same period of time. Materials for this project include a container, a hot glue gun, cups filled with water, electrical tape, straws, food coloring, scissors, and a water bottle.
For the first part of the procedure, take your water bottle and empty out the water. Then take the bottle cap and use your scissors to poke 2 holes into it. Finally, ensure that the holes are large enough so that the straws are able to slip into the cap. For the second part of the procedure, take your time when you poke your holes, as it is critical that you make sure that they aren't too close. A good tip is to start the holes on opposite sides of the cap and then begin to make them larger from there. For the third part of the procedure, then move on to place your straws into the cap and hot glue them in. In addition, on one of the straws, use the electrical tape to attach another straw so one is longer than the other. Finally, place one of your cups on an elevated surface and the other on the ground. Also, you may want to fill your bottle with some water so you give your contraption a kickstart. Proceed to place the shorter straw into the cup with an elevated surface and the longer straw into the cup we put no water in. Sit back and the flow of the water through the straws and your bottle is your siphon.
As their water runs out of the bottle, there's a decrease in pressure in the bottle. Due to that, in the short straw, there's a vacuum effect which vacuums up the water up the short straw and back into the bottle and back down the long straw, which creates a cycle of water being brought in and taken out until you run out of water. Toilets require large volumes of water to enter the bowl quickly, so the siphoning effect can quickly pull the water into the bottom of the bowl. However, a siphon jet is used near the bottom of the bowl for this rapid movement of water. There is a siphon tube called a P-trap in the toilet which prevents the sewer gases from entering the bathroom and is usually filled with.
When you flush the toilet holds enough water to overcome the partial vacuum inside the siphon tube as water flows into the toilet bowl. The rapid influx of water from the sides of the bowl raise the water level inside the siphon tube, pushing the water inside the bowl through the tube extremely quickly. Siphons can be applied to the real world, such as in animals like squids. Squids have been around for about 500 years and are some of the earliest of animals to have siphons integrated into their body. They use siphons inside their body for respiration and to discharge waste.
When the mantle of the siphon expands, water is sucked into the mantle cavity through an opening around the head. When the mantle contracts, water is squirted out through a funnel along with other waste products, so the squid is allowed to move around through the body of water. The 19th century siphon coffee maker also introduced Bernoulli's siphon effect to the modern world. It's design meant for more of a display than actually drawing coffee, but some of them are still seen today just for decoration, not actually for producing drinkable goods. In the siphon coffee maker, there are two chambers, one with coffee and one with water. When the water one is heated, the water turns into water vapor and hits the coffee. When it hits the coffee and turns into coffee and comes back down through the use of gravity as well as pressure thanks to the vacuum effect, which is directly related to Bernoulli's siphon effect.
Thanks for watching!